We the jack shit sippers. We sippin' jack shit sippers. We sippin' jack shit sippers. Alan hit me on my phone, he said I need...
Week 6 of the 2025 season. Let's get into it. Last week, your commish predicted the Viking will get his first win of the season against our Cooper's Crawfish. I didn't like Bo Nix going up against a tough Philly defense, and I questioned how Cooper's super stack of 3 Chargers would do without 3 offensive linemen. Now make it 4, as another got hurt in the game. But on Steve's side, well, I wasn't excited about much. I'm struggling to see why I even picked Steve, to be quite honest with you. I did like his players, and I did like the fact that they had a high floor, but given the tough matchups, I didn't like a lot of the upside. So I guess, as usual, I do usually pick the team with the highest floor, so that's probably why I went with him. Well, that came through. Steve did score a respectable 147 points. Cook really did let him down. He's been a great running back with 20 points every game all season, but only ended up with 5. However, Rachaad White, he got into a shootout and did what he does. He caught a bunch of passes, scored 23 points in Seattle. That helps make up for the points lost from Cook. I guess he heard me totally call him out last week and basically say he was a worthless football player. He answered the bell and definitely did good for Steve and kept him in the game. Moving on to the Crawfish, man. He definitely had some dud. Woody Marks and Derrick Henry combined for a total of only 11 points. That is not good. The king is definitely the prince, but winter is coming, so maybe we see the king turning it around. He did have a couple blow-ups, though. Chase scoring 29 in any given week isn't crazy. It really doesn't matter who his opponent is. He's very good and good at big plays. So, not totally crazy that he scored that. However, the rando tight end of Theo Johnson scoring 21 was certainly a surprise. So, your commish dropped his second game in a row. Cooper stole this one from the Viking, 161 to 147. The champ is still winless at 0-5, despite a pretty solid starting lineup. The Viking really needs to win this week. I mean, 0-6 making the playoffs is rough. He's got TJ, needs to beat him to keep his playoff hopes alive. Meanwhile, Cooper gets a win, bringing him to 3-2. He's right in the middle of the pack. So, who are we previewing this week? Well, that was an easy choice. We have a clash of the Titans this week. That's right. Our number 1 team, Chad, our league villain, is going up against our number 2, noob, Max. All right, both teams 4-1. They're the second and third highest scoring teams in the league. Neither are there by luck. Looking at you, Rain Predictor. Now, this is going to be a good one. Let's get into it. At quarterback, Max is bringing Baker and Darnold to this party. 5 years ago, you would have looked at this duo, and it would have been a total laughing stock. I mean, they wouldn't have started them in fantasy games. They were that bad, even in a super flex. But their careers have both had big bounce backs. Baker is currently the 3rd highest scoring QB in the league. Darnold is the 12th highest scoring team in fantasy. So to start 2 quarterbacks both in the top 12 is always a nice flex in super flex. Both play middle-of-the-road defenses in San Francisco and Jacksonville. Both are on the higher side of the over-under because they're in 47-point games. I would expect kind of a middle-of-the-road performance with no blow-ups. For this group, that means scoring about 45 as they're averaging 22-ish or so a game. I don't see them getting much more than that. Baker, believe it or not, I won't get into the numbers, but his TD rate is extremely high and really not reasonable to continue. So we'll see how that season goes. But let's move over to Chad. This is where we get a wild card. Mahomes was terrible the first 2 games of the season, but our villain Chad called up his buddy Mahomes, said, hey, I need a favor, turn on the Jets. So he did. All right, Mahomes has rushed for 60 yards in 3 of 5 games, keeping him fantasy viable in every game. But on top of being fantasy viable, he's actually looked pretty good his last 2 weeks. Getting Xavier Worthy back has not hurt, so he is looking better. but he's also had 37 or more attempts in 4 of 5 games. And now he gets the Lions in the highest over-under of the week. It's a whopping 53 points, and everything seems to be going through Mahomes, including the running game for the Kansas City Chiefs. But Mahomes coming back to life isn't the wild card. It's Justin Fields, baby. It is Fields season, much to Fisher's delight. Fields was hurt 2 games. Outside of those 2 games, the 3 games he actually finished, he had over 30 points in every single one of them. He has been an unstoppable force. Even if it has been in garbage time, he is getting fantasy points. But Fields meets the immovable object known as the Denver defense. One of these two has to budge. So who's it going to be? Fields has had 30 points in all games, in all of his games, but all of those games are against bottom 4 fantasy defenses. So my money's on Denver to bring Fields back down to earth. So where's my edge going? I'm still taking our league villain Chad. Fields might come back down to earth, but what is that, 20 points? Mahomes has a low end, I think, of 25 in a game against Detroit. So scoring 45 total, that's about all I think Max is going to get out of his quarterbacks. So I like Chad's upside here way more than Max's. All right, moving on to wide receiver. Max brings the damn wood in this group. Would I have said that 6 weeks ago about Puka, Debo, and Quentin? Absolutely not. Sure, Puka, but outside of that, Debo, Quentin Johnston? No. However, here we are today. These guys are all studs. Stafford has been white hot. The guy has thrown for his record passing yards as a Ram 2 weeks ago, and then he topped it last week. So he's hot. They're playing great. Puka's he's just been a total beast. I mean, yes, he's been injury riddled, but he's not injured right now, and he gets one of the most injury-riddled defenses in the league in Baltimore. I mean, they've been terrible. They're one of the worst defenses in the league. I think they are the dead last worst in fantasy defenses for receivers. It might be second. Puka's he's bound to explode. Oh, and by explode, I mean big. His worst game on the season is 11 catches for 112 yards. That's absolutely insane. So if that's his floor, I don't know. Puka doesn't catch a lot of touchdowns, but man, he sure looks like he should get one this week. So, we're talking like 30-plus points for Puka. Low end 25. The guy's just been incredible, even with Devonta Adams there. Now, with McLaurin out, Debo has been an absolute beast. Cue up that dog video that I put in the newsletter. Debo is definitely going to take on Riverdale High. Maybe he should have been a linebacker, but hey, he's a running back that's just going to score back-to-back touchdowns against Riverdale. He's a dog, as that guy says. So back-to-back weeks, he has scored 20 points. He has scored in 4 or 5 games. He scored over 17. I don't care if McLaurin's back or not. Kingsbury throws everything close to the line. That's just how his offense is run. That's to Debo's advantage. So even with McLaurin back, Debo has played himself into a significant role in this offense. He's one of the steals of the draft. I really like him here. And on top of that, he gets a lowly Bears defense. I'm not worried about them at all. So yes, I like Debo this week. Now, the pick of the year, on top of maybe the draft pick of the year, belongs to Max so far. Max been over 200 fab, I think 225 on Quentin Johnston. Sounded utterly ridiculous after week 1, but the guy has scored 15 to 23 points every single week. The only worry that he has is he scored 7 points last week. It is the only week he didn't top that. That's mostly due to the fact that the Chargers' offensive line is garbage. They now have 4, not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 offensive linemen back, as LeBron would say. So, could that continue? Could Herbert get harassed and not be as good as a passing game, particularly now that they've lost their running backs? Yeah, it could. But I'm betting against a bad Dolphins defense here. I think Herbert's going to end up being fine. So Quentin, I'll chalk him in for a touchdown. So that's basically everybody scoring for Max. So where is Chad at? Well, he's bringing Chris Godwin, Olave, and Zay Flowers. Look, Godwin is your wild card. He was my sleeper last year. I love him as a player, but he's been injured multiple times. He is still recovering from the injury that knocked him out last year. I don't expect much from him against kind of this middle-of-the-road Niners defense. Ibuka has just been the man. So could he go 5 for 50 or something? Sure. You really got to hope to get lucky to get a touchdown there. I don't know how you bet on Godwin over Ibuka right now for a touchdown. Now, Olave, let's talk a little bit about him. He may play for one of the worst offenses in the league. Sorry, Cooper. But the Rattler, this guy knows how to target Olave. Olave is averaging 11 targets a game. Look, maybe you don't know much about targets. Maybe you don't realize how many that it is. So let me give you a reference. If that pace keeps up, he would finish with the 9th most targets of all time. Not this year, not past decade, ever. So with that type of volume, it's just hard to bust. So will we get a TD this week and be an advantage, or just like a 6 for 60 week? I'm actually going to bet against him. I think he's going to be fantasy vegetables this week, as the ballers say. The Pats defense has been solid, but they welcome back Christian Gonzalez. So I'm going to guess that Olave doesn't get one of his maybe 4 touchdowns on the season this week. Lastly, we've got Zay Flowers. He's always been a bit of a boomer bust, even with Lamar. Now you're telling me he's without Lamar? Yeah, I'm just going to bet on the bust side here. Could he have a 6 for 60 week? I think if he does, Chad should be happy with that. So, edge, ginormous edge to Max here. If Max wins this week, it will be on the back of this group hitting their ceiling, and Max's group hitting their ceiling, and Chad's group hitting their floor. I mean, he could pick up 30 extra points here. So, moving on to running back. It's time to flip the script. Max brings Pacheco and Quinshon Judkins. I don't know if anybody else hears that and thinks of Leroy Jenkins, but I do, and that's hilarious. If you get that, you get it. If not, go to YouTube, Google Leroy Jenkins. You'll have a good laugh. All right, this group is not great. Pacheco is averaging 8 carries a game. That's not good. And he had 8 carries a game against three against 3 of the bottom 8 run defenses. He had 3 games against the bottom 3 run defenses. There we go. Sorry, I couldn't get it out. Basically, he's played a bunch of bad run defenses, and he's still not getting work, and he's still not scoring. Now he gets a Detroit run defense, which is very good. I mean, Max might be better off starting a waiver wire running back at this point. I don't even know why Pacheco is... I don't even know why he's on a roster. I certainly don't know why he's starting. Might be time for a trade, Max. Call the Viking. Now, while Judkins was a great trade for Max, another great move for Max this year in this trade, he's not an upside type of running back. He got 25 touches last week, still only managed 13 points. Why? Because he doesn't catch. And not only does he not catch, the Browns' offense isn't very good. So it doesn't put him in position to score, certainly not score multiple times. So he'll be fine. He's looked, NFL-wise, has looked great. He looks fantastic. But fantasy-wise, he's just been fine. Last week he had 23 carries for 110 yards. Awesome. He got 13 points. So, yeah, he'll get some work, and he's playing the Steelers. Maybe he gets a touchdown, but is it enough to carry this lifeless version of Pacheco? No, man, it's just not. So big downside here for Max. Now, that means this is where Chad gets his advantage, and he's going to get his advantage no matter who he plays every week, because he brings the 2 best running back duo that we have in the game, our fantasy league. He brings Achane and Gibbs. Both are pass-catching backs. Both have chances at TDs every single week. It doesn't matter who they play. It's just their role in the offense. Now, they get the Chargers in Kansas City, but I really don't care
where their run defenses are ranked, again, because they catch a lot. So, I do care about their over-unders. Gibbs is playing in a 53-point over-under game against Kansas City. I think he is likely to score a touchdown, as he is every week. So, I like Gibbs. Turn it over to Achane. He's playing in a low 43-point over-under game. I don't like that, but I am taking the over in this game. The Fins defense should get picked apart, and I think the player most likely to score a TD in this game, or really a TD ever for the Fins offense, is Achane. So I do like him being solid, but not great. All right, so the edge here, big time to Chad. I mean, I think Max might get 20 points total out of his running backs. Gibbs could single-handedly score more than that. So this is where he makes up for that running back, or for those wide receivers. All right, moving on to the tight end and the flex. Max brings Mandrews, my favorite, definitely still scarred from last year, and he gets Romeo Doubs. It's a touchdown duo. It is not a group dependent on workload. These are high percentage touchdown guys. I do like Doubs against Cincy this week. I know that sounds like recency bias, as he just scored 3 TDs. Not last week because it was a bye week, but his last game played. He did play against Dallas, so he kind of ate against this bad defense. I say that because he's like a must in my personal touchdown-only league. I really try to get him because that's just kind of where he is, or what he is. So against a Cincinnati defense, I definitely think he could pull one in. Mandrews, on the other hand, let's just say Max is excited, probably very excited, that Kittle comes back next week, or should. Not betting on Mandrews. Now, Chad is bringing Javonte Williams and Dalton Kincaid to this group. What a terrible group. Stop laughing at our villain. All right? Stop laughing, because it is not a terrible group. I know these names in the preseason were ones that we all would have laughed at. We certainly didn't think they were going to be great, at best, middle of the road. But these guys are number 2 and number 3 at their respective positions. Do I think the Bills are going to continue filtering everything, their entire passing game, through Kincaid? No. However, until it stops, you ride that hot tight end. So, I can't pick against Kincaid, despite the fact that I have no idea why that's what they're doing. On the other hand, Javonte is in a high-scoring offense and benefiting from goal line work. I see that continuing with Dallas against Carolina. Unless Dak just takes all of the passing touchdowns, or all the touchdowns by passing, no reason I don't see Javonte scoring also. So an edge here certainly goes to our villain, Chad. Who am I taking this week? As much as it pains me to say, I have to go with our resident Swiftie. This dong lover has a legit team. Chad, don't know how you did it. You've made like one move on the season, but every single draft pick you had has hit. I think Chad is the team to beat. Although, Max, nothing to hang your head low on. You have a fantastic team also. Need to work on some depth, but looking good. All right, boys. Villain, play me out
We
with
the
your
jack
music.
shit sippers. We sippin' jack shit sippers. We sippin' jack shit sippers. Alan hit me on my phone. He said I need